Well, hello there trainers, greetings, KuroBlitz here and welcome back to another video. Now, it's been a while since I've made one of this, but I would have liked to imagine how it would have been if the Decolore Islands of the Pokémon Best Wishes anime, if they had an extra challenge for our boy Ash Ketchum, like how the Orange Islands had their own league challenge during the course between the Kanto region and the Johto region for the Indigo League and the Silver League. So this is something that I would like to explore today. What if there was an extra challenge for the Decolore Archipelago? What if those islands had their own quote-unquote battle frontier, or even, an extra something to make the buffer of filler lesser? Let's find out. Alright then, so for starters, I just want to point out that, when it comes to, Ash, Iris and Silent going to the Decolore Islands, they would still meet Porter. However, the boat that would make the kids go from Unova to Kanto, the boat would be the Royal Unova, the one that we have in Castilia's Harbor in Black and White, as well as Black 2, White 2. The Royal Unova would be the one boat that it would take the kids through a lot of this, and we would have a lot of marine tournaments like how the one that we got in the Purloin episode, and I think that would have been a lot more fitting. There is a challenge that it's not the Marine Cup, but it's called the 5 Fairy Festival. The idea that I would like for this, it's basically the Silver and the Gold Prince from the Sinnoh Battle Frontier, but they are applied for, full battles, and Ash would bring his old Pokemon to basically commemorate the returning of everyone on 3D models for X and Y, as well as the idea that they wanted to, hammer down for Black 2 and White 2. So, for the 5 Fairy Festival, this would all happen during the Royal Unova excursion towards the Decolore Islands. However, they would have, an easy mode and a battle mode, and Ash would have to, fight in ranks of bronze, silver and gold in double battles against other trainers all alone, and during the platinum ranks he would do single battles, and then the 5th one would be, the final battle for the elite medal. And I think this would be, an interesting challenge for our boy. So let's get started. As for the first match, Ash would meet the richest kids. Those being of, Draco and Susan. Draco would send out Pokemon like Lumineon, Huntail and Porygon Z, and they would battle Ash's Unova Pokemon being of Oshawott, Snivy and Boldore. Oshawott would fall in love with Lumineon, but he would be able to get the win. Snivy would have, a very blade battle against, Huntail. And the Porygon Z against Boldore, it just feels like something very interesting. Now, as for Susan's Pokemon, instead of having 2 waters and 1 normal, she would have 2 normals and 1 water, being of Lopunny, Ambipom and Azumarill. And Ash would send out his returning Pokemon of Torkoal, Heracross and Noctowl, with Torkoal battling Lopunny as a tortoise and a hare situation, and then we have Heracross battling Ambipom because they are both from Johto, and as well as both from Johto in Sea and Sky, you would have Azumarill against Noctowl, and Ash would get the win here. Now, when it comes to the next battles, I decided to use NPCs from the World Tournament of Driftville City in Black 2 and White 2. And with that, I decided for Ash to battle the Ace trainers of Dragon and Dark type, being of Dracon and Impera. Dracon would use Altaria, Salamence and Dragonite, while Ash would use Torkoal, Scraggy and Gible. So basically the frightened babies are going to battle the powerhouses that are these Pokemon. And the Gible against Dragonite would be a very important one. And as for Impera, she would use a Cacturne, a Sharpedo and a Skuntank, and Ash would use his iconic Pokemon of Bulbasaur, Squirtle and his star Pokemon being of Staraptor. I can see Bulbasaur and Cacturne in the grass battle, Squirtle and Sharpedo in the water battle, and a Sinnoh showdown between Skuntank and Staraptor. I think this would be very cool and very interesting to see. And with that, Ash would finally get his 2 prints of the Bronze Challenge, now going to the Silver ones. Here, Ash would battle Walter, the Bug Expert, and Margaret, the Steel Expert, with Walter having Shedinja, Ladian, and Parasect, and Margaret would later on use her Steel Pokemon, but Ash is revealing Pikachu, Heracross, and Bayleaf. So you have Pikachu versus Shedinja, would be a very funny match to have, the 2 Johto bugs of Ladian and Heracross, and the 2 grass types of Parasect and Bayleaf. Margaret would then help Walter with Magnezone, Aggron, and Skarmory, and Ash would reveal the rest of his Johto team with Quilava, Totodile, and Noctowl. We would have Quilava trying to melt Aggron, Totodile having a draconic fight against Aggron and, you know, destroying his rocks with his water types, and a sky showdown between the 2 Johto flyers of Skarmory and Noctowl. As for the next Silver Print battle, we would have Ash against Castor and Homer, with Castor using poison Pokemon of Swalot, Beedrill, and Victreebel. And on Ash's side of the field, he would use his 3 Kanto Pokemon of Pikachu, Charizard, and Snorlax, having amazing fights all throughout. But then Homer would use his ground Pokemon of Marowak, Camerupt, and Claydol, with Ash retaliating with Heracross, Sceptile, and Donphan. I feel like these would be great matches for Ash to have, because he would utilize Pokemon that, you know, are his all-stars from his Battle Frontier days. Charizard from Kanto, Snorlax from Orange, Heracross from Johto, Sceptile from Hoenn, Donphan from the Battle Frontier, and Pikachu from throughout all of his journey. And therefore he would get his 2nd Silver Print, now going to the Gold Challenges. And this is where Ash would meet the Esper duo of Furley and Delphine. Furley would use ghost Pokemon like Sableye, Banette, and Cofagrigus, with Ash using Corphish and Breezel as well as Gliscor. So basically Corphish and Breezel being 2 water types, they would defeat, you know, the 2 ghost types. I think it would make a lot of sense, and we could have a match between Cofagrigus and Gliscor. This would be very interesting to see. But then Delphine would use the other psychic types that she has on her hand, being of Jinx, Medicham, and Sigilyph. And Ash would use Mr. Mime, his returning Primeape that it's in the Best Wishes Season 2 opening, and Tauros. I think this would be very interesting. We have a psychic match between Mr. Mime and Jinx, a fighting match between Primeape and Medicham, and we have, you know, the unique Sigilyph against the iconic Tauros. And I feel like Alder could see this fight given how he has a Bouffalant. So there you have it. Ash finally gets his first gold print. Later down the line, as for his 2nd gold print that he has to challenge, it would have to be the grandparents of the first people he met, being Draco and Susan. He's going to battle Mr. Zillion and Miss Claridonna. Mr. Zillion has Shuckle, Politoed, and Licky, while Ash is sending out Palpitoad, Unpheasant, and Leavanny. Ash is trusting on his comrades from the Unova region to defeat this old man. This gentleman, no less. So we would see matches like Politoed against Shuckle, and then, you know, Shuckle loses, we get, you know, Politoed against, you know, Palpitoad, and we would see, for example, Unpheasant on the fray, Unpheasant against Licky as well, and then Leavanny against Licky. A lot of switching would be involved. But then Miss Claridonna would use, you know, very bulky Pokemon like Bronzong, Golurk, and Kangaskhan, and Ash would utilize his other Best Wishes Pokemon, being of Scraggy, Big Knight, and Charizard. So we have 2 fighting types and 2 fire types here. Scraggy against Bronzong would be interesting to see, Brain and Brawn, and Dark and Psychic. We have, you know, the Megaton Pokemon of Big Knight against, a very powerful, unit being of Golurk. And the Charizard against Kangaskhan would be a monster egg group type of situation that we never had the privilege to see in the main anime, so I feel like this would, be it. But yeah, now Ash is eligible to have single matches against, the platinum holders of this 5 Fairy Festival print. But before that, during his detour in the Decolore Islands, he would not only re-meet Professor Oak and he would get, his Rotom, and he would also meet Alexa that it's going to, prompt him for the Kalos region. So those canon events still do happen. Now when it comes to Ash's first Platinum Print Challenge, he is going to battle Miss Trish. Trish is the mother of, Susan and Draco, and she's the daughter of Zillion and Claridonna. So Ash is going to fight the matriarch of the family in a way. And the matches that I decided to have here would be of Eatmore against Pikachu, Ursaring against Glalie, Vespiquen against Kingler, Weavile against Gible, Excadrill against Swallow, and Kingdra against Torterra. So during a battle on the boats, Kingdra will have the advantage, but therefore this will be the fight for Torterra to finally get his win. And against a veteran trainer, I think it would be in the much more fitting scenario. And now Ash gets his Platinum Print on easy mode, now going to hard mode, fighting the son of Trish, the older brother of Draco and Susan, the grandson of Claridora and Zillion, that being Miles, the heir to the richest family. Miles is the one trainer that it's on Ash's way to, getting the clearance to get the Elite Trophy for this Battle Frontier Challenge in the Decolore Islands. He says Ash is a joke, that he should not even be on board the Royal Unova, that he should not be on the 5 Fairy Festival even to begin with. But Ash wants to prove him wrong, and he decides to use his Pokemon to prove that ideology. We do have Pikachu against Haxorus, Muk versus Donphan, Snorlax against Tangrowth, Sceptile versus Bisharp, Infernape versus Braviary, and Crocodile against Lantern. These are the matches that I would very much like to see. I feel like Snorlax against, Tangrowth would be amazing, same with Muk and Donphan. Lantern and Crocodile, you have a Soak Thunderbolt situation, and can you imagine Infernape battling a Braviary? That would be awesome. And Bisharp having a Blade duel against, Sceptile, that would be great. Pikachu defeating Haxorus, it's because he never battled Drayden, and Irises is not evolved yet, so I feel like, Ash having that, clearance with Miles here, because I want to portray Miles as how Trip is portrayed, but in a more pampered manner. And with that, Ash would finally get the win, and he would be the one to, go to the 5th Fairy of the Royal Unova, and after almost reaching home, he's going to battle none other than Bridget. Yeah, I decided to have Ash battle Bridget in the place where Silent battles Morana, the Ice Dojo Breaker, and this will be a cool exercise for, Ash getting more knowledge about the Kalos region besides Alexa. And the Pokemon that Ash would use would be his iconic 6. Pikachu, the starters, and the return of, Pidgeot and Butterfree much earlier on than in actual canon, while Bridget would use a myriad of Pokemon that later on in future games would be able to Mega Evolve, being of Audino, Mawile, Absol, Blaziken, Gengar, and Manectric. You could infer the matches how you want here. The one that I think will be very fitting to end it all off could be, given how Pikachu defeated Haxorus, this could be where Charizard defeats Blaziken and revenges his loss in the Johto League. As for other events during this, I decided to have, you know, the Genesect movie happen before Ash goes to Decolore, and the legendary adventure that they have here, it's on Conley Island with, you know, the Aura trainer, right? And we would see a red shiny Jirachi to celebrate the 10th anniversary back then of, you know, the Wishmaker movie. So there you have it. This is the challenge that I would like to have for Ash to have in Decolore against the Riches family that are basically the Unova versions of the Wind Straits, as well as, you know, NPCs from the World Tournament, because I feel like the NPCs in the Pokemon games deserve much more love. In the My Victory Road 2022 Tag Challenge, I used the other gym challenges of Galar, so give the NPCs more love, okay? Okay, so yeah, trainers, there you have it. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section down below. How would you make your own battle frontier for Decolore Islands, or what kind of challenge would you do? Would Iris and Silent have, you know, their own predicaments to face? Would Georgia and Burgundy, their rivals, would they have, you know, a bigger role to fulfill given how they disappeared after, you know, the Junior Cup? Would Ash have to prove his worth against Stefan, Bianca, and Trip again? Would he have to finally fight Virgil after the plasma situation? These are all amazing scenarios, so let me know in the comment section down below how would have you interpreted them. And don't forget to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you another time, trainers. KuroBlitz out.